Okay, so just to show you, there's a small topic that was pending, right? Few topics that are pending in core Java. We'll just cover one of them or two of them. Now there's a class here, say animal, right? So now in this animal class, there's only one method, that is eat method. Okay. Now, or let us make it as a interface, more appropriate. Okay, so what I'll do here is there's a core Java. I'll say new interface, and then I'll say animal. Right, there's an animal interface. Only one interface is there, and this interface has a method called as void eat. Okay, now what you need to do is to use this interface, you have to have a class which is going to implement that interface and then give the body to it. Correct, right? That means, let us say you will have a class maybe cat which is implementing this interface, and then you will have a method there, right? Give the body, that is a concrete method, and then to test that you will create another class. There you create the object of the dog class or cat class, then you invoke that eat method. That's what we have been doing, right? So let us do that quickly. Okay, so now new class, say dog. What I'll do here is I will say dog implements what animal, correct? And then over here, so now because it is implementing animal means it has to give the body to the unimplemented methods. There's only one unimplemented method, which is eat. So now what we need to do is we need to use this, give some body here. I will say system.out.println, right? And then I'm saying here the dog is eating. Okay, this is what is the implementation. Now to test this, what you have to do, you have to have another class. New class, I will say test dog. Correct? And in the test dog, we will have the main method. And what we will do here is we will basically create the object of the dog class. Correct, right? Say dog D is equal to new dog D dot eat. Perfectly fine. Now this will work. Okay, this is what we have been doing. Now, just to give the implementation to one method, which is there, only one method was there, right? So how much we have to do? We have to write a class which is going to implement the interface, and then write a tester class, and then create the object, and then use it, right? So there's too much of unnecessary work, repeated code that we are doing. So what Java people have thought is, let us leave this dog for now. Let us leave that out. I'm having over here now in my tester class. Okay. So what we will do now here is, instead of writing a class, I'm then implementing that animal interface. So what we can do now is, just see here, animal A is equal to new animal. Can we create the object of an interface? No. We should not think that much. We cannot, because it's 100% abstract. We cannot create the object of an interface. What Java people have given is, they've given an option. Instead of you write a class, implement the interface, and then basically test it, instead of that, what we can do now is, the dog class itself is not there. Imagine the dog class itself is not there. Nothing is there now. I am creating an object of the animal, which is not allowed because we cannot create the object of an interface. But still, what I can do here is I can do something like this. I will tell you what is this. Okay, so now over here, animal A is equal to new animal. Yeah, let me use this. Now see here, okay, what was that? What was the mistake that I was doing? Oh, okay, we need to have it. So what I'm trying to do is, I'm saving one step. See, we had to have a class which is going to implement that interface, right? Either it's a cat class, a dog class, or whatever it is. And just to implement one method, we have to write a class. Instead of doing that, what Java people have done is, they have given you an option. You don't have to basically create a class. See, there is a class here. Can we write animal A is equal to new dog? Yes, we can. Right? Animal A is equal to new cat? Yes. Right? So it is as good as that. So now here if you see, this part is as good as a class. But only thing is you're not writing a separate class file. What are you doing here? You're creating the object of an interface, but it is not the object of an interface. There is a class. See, this is a class now. And this class is not having any name. That is why it is called as anonymous inner class, because it's not having any name, right? If the interface is having only one abstract method, and then to implement that, you don't have to basically create a class, write a class. You can directly go ahead and create a class which is anonymous, which is not having any name. Are you getting it? So now this itself is as good as this is a dog class. You can imagine like that. It is not having a name as dog or cat for now. That's it. But this anonymous inner class has a method called as each we have to implement, right? Because animal is having a each method. Now what I'm doing here is system.out.println the animal, or say the dog, whatever it is, the dog is eating. This is done. So now where the class is getting over, this is where the class is getting over. Now I can say a.eat. Are you seeing what is happening here? Just to go through this, what we are trying to do here is without writing a class, we are creating a class. Are you getting it? So there would have been a dog class which is implementing the animal interface, or a cat class which was implementing the animal interface. How would that look like? That would have looked something like this. So text document. See here, public class dog implements animal. You would have seen it something like this. And then for public void eat, yeah, you have to give the body to this. Then say that system.out.println the dog is eating. Correct, right? This is what you have to do. Instead of all this, what I'm doing here is I am taking away this. I'm taking away all this, not required. Whatever is the rest all remains as it is, right? So just see here, and this body remains as it is. Now see, that's what is happening here. The body remains as it is. And the whatever class which we are creating right now is not having any name. That's why it's called as anonymous class. Are you getting it? Now what is the advantage of this? What is the advantage? You don't have to write the class. If you want to change the implementation, just go and change the implementation here and then say the cat is eating. That's all. Now you have as good as a cat class. And then run it. Now let us see it. Now a.eat is there. We have to run this. Right? Let us run this. It's already part of the main method. See here, the cat is eating. Are you getting it? What is happening here? So in case if the interface contains only one method, then we can basically create, we don't have to write a class to implement that interface. We can directly do it using the anonymous inner class. That means we have already a test class, test dog class here. Inside that there is a class. This is as good as a class, inner class, but this is not having any name. That is why it is called as anonymous inner class. Are you getting it? So if you know this syntax, that is sufficient. If you only know this syntax, then it's sufficient. Okay. People on the Zoom, Sukruta, is that clear to you?
Yeah, but you are given a semicolon after that, so it is a syntax, is it?
This is a syntax, yes, very good question. So you have to give the semicolon at the end. This is where the class ends. This is where the class ends. You need to be, using the syntax over here. You have to give the semicolon. Is that okay?
And that is for anonymous class only, is it?
Yes, only for the anonymous inner class you have to give the semicolon at the end.
And also this anonymous class is applicable for only when the interface has only one one method.
It is not like that. It can have even other methods as well, but right, you can still use that. Okay, but usually we use it when the interface is having only one method. For example, I will go ahead and add another method here called as eat or say drink. Right now, what happens the moment it comes here, it has another unimplemented method. See, it asks me to implement that as well. You can do that as well. See, ideally, we want to save the time mostly when there is only one method. Okay, but that is not a hard and fast rule. Even if the interface is having more than one method also, you can make use of that. You can say here the cat is drinking. And then I can say here a dot drink. That is just a theoretical point of view. It is not limited for only one method, by the way. See here, this is still fine. Is that clear, Sukrita?
Yes, sir.
This is very, very important. By the way, this is a very important topic, anonymous in class. Yeah. Without writing a class, we're implementing an interface. That's what it is, right? That's why it's anonymous. Okay. Now, most of the cases, we will have only one method. The interface which is having only one method is known as, you know what? Functional interface. Functional interface. What do you mean by a functional interface? Somebody might ask you in the interview. What is a functional interface? The interface which is having only one method, right? All the methods of an interface are by default public and abstract. So if there is only one method, then that interface is called as functional interface. Okay. So what do you mean by functional interface? Interface which is having only one method. Those interfaces are called as functional interfaces. So if you are using functional interfaces, then anonymous inner class is the kind of must, because there's only one method, right? Only one method in the interface. There's a functional interface, and then just instead of writing a class for it, you use the anonymous interface. Is it clear now? What is the difference between functional interface and regular interface? Regular interface can have any number of methods, but functional interface usually will have only one, as per the definition. For functional interfaces, we mostly use anonymous interfaces. You can even use them for other interfaces also, but if it is a functional interface, then for sure we are going to use anonymous. There's no point in writing one more extra class. Is that clear now, Sukrita, for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sangeeta, is that clear? Sangeeta?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sneha, is that clear to you?
Yes, sir. But can we use the anonymous class for abstract classes also?
Very good question. Yes, you can. You can use it for any other class as well, right? So the question is, can we use it for abstract class? Yes, you can. Okay, let us do that. I will write an abstract class here. Class, I will make it as abstract. You can choose it here like this, right? And I will say here, what is that? Say, I will say super animal. Yeah. Super animal is an abstract class, right? So I've already made it as abstract. Then what I'll do is public abstract void drink. There's a drink method here. Abstract, right? And there is a concrete class as well. Public concrete method as well. Public void say sleep. Okay, I'm saying here the super animal is sleeping. Now what is this? This is an abstract class. Why it is abstract class? It is having one abstract method, right? Now we cannot create the object of it. Yeah, but however, we still be able to use the anonymous inner class. Let us do that now. New class. I will say test super animal. Okay. If I say it extends the super animal, then it will have to give the body to it. Correct, right? So let us do that now. Let us test from all the angles. I will have a main method. Okay. So super animal SA is equal to new super animal. The moment you say this, you will get to know anonymous inner type. It's a touch screen, right? So anonymous inner class, you can do that like that. Now, which is the method which is having abstract one? This one, right? Correct. System.out.println. I'm saying here the whatever it is, whether you call it as a dog, cat, whatever. What does your implementation is? E is drink. Now, what about the other method which is there? If you want to override that, oh, super animal, sorry. Yeah, super. Why did I write it as just super? So now this is fine. This is one method. This is where the class is ending. Now, if you want to override the other method, which was that method? This one, sleep. You can still override it over here. And then you can say here, the super animal is sleeping, right? And then say, this is the ridden method. We are overriding it, that it's there in the animal, super animal interface. I'm just giving a different implementation, right? And then here, this is where the class ends. You need to be a little careful here. This is where the class ends. And from here, you can say SA dot drink, SA dot sleep. Now, this method should be invoked and this method should be invoked. Right? Because we are overriding one method and we are implementing one method. Can you see? This is what it is. So this is applicable even for classes and abstract classes also. But mostly the anonymous inner class, you can use it with anything. It's not that you have to use only with respect to a particular. If the class has say 10 methods, and if you want to only consider one method, and if you want to invoke it without writing a class, you can still go ahead and do that. See here, I can remove this. And then I can remove this. We are good. So what we are doing is we are only giving the implementation to drink method and invoking it. For implementing the drink method, I don't have to give another class. Don't have to write another class altogether. If you want to override other methods, it is as good as a class, is what I'm trying to say. It's as good as a class without the name. That's it. You are saving one extra step of writing a new class. Is that clear now, Sneha?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wonderful. Anybody, any questions on the anonymous inner class? Clear? So the interface which is having only one method is known as what? Functional interface. Anonymous inner classes are mostly used with respect to functional interfaces. Is it clear? Now, let us write one more functional interface. That is, I'm saying here, functional, if you see func, in JavaScript and all we call it as func, functional interface. Just as an example, okay? Now this one has a method add numbers. It is going to take int A, then int B, and then finally return the sum of that. This is what is the method. Are you getting it? Only one method is there. This is a functional interface. All of you agree? Which method is there? Add numbers. The implementation for this would be what? You have to basically pass two input arguments, A and B. It will calculate them and return the sum. Return type is int. Remember that. Now, can we write a class for it now to test this? Let us say test. New class, test, func interface. Okay. Be little attentive here. Main. Now, what is our interface? This is our interface. Do I need to write a class? Not required. I can go ahead with anonymous inner class. So what I do, I take this. See, what is this? Functional interface is equal to new functional interface. It will tell you. Then you want to choose this anonymous inner class. Say yes. Which method is there? Add numbers is there, right? So it will take A, it will take B. Then ultimately what it has to return? A plus B. I can write it in one line straight away. I can, if I want, I can store it into another variable called as sum. Otherwise, this is fine. Now we have implemented this method altogether. Correct? Now to test this, we are already part of a main method, remember that. It can be part of any other method also. If it is part of any other method, you have to call that inside the main method. That's why I'm writing directly inside the main method. See, fi dot not here, this is a class. Where the class ends, here the class ends. Okay. Fi dot add numbers, say 10, comma 20. This is going to return me the sum. Now what I will do here is I will basically use a system.out.println, or say for now, just to save the time, in sum I will say, and then system.out.println sum. Correct, right? So we perfect usage of functional interface. One method without any class, anonymous inner class, over, job done, right? So let us run this now. It is required. See, 30 we have got. Now what Java people have thought is, they thought, okay, so this is something, if you see here, the code is a little redundant, meaning this is the interface and you're creating a new object of the interface using an anonymous inner class, right? They thought that, why don't we kind of reduce this code and try to write it in a very shortcut manner, okay, as maybe as some expression, right? That is what they thought. Now see, this is very, very small thing. And most of the things, see, class here, interface here, same thing. Duplicate. Can we remove it? We shall try to remove it. And then public int. This is anyway present in this over here. Why do I again have to say public int? Okay. By the way, there is not public int. It is a default int, right? So I am making it as public int here. It is still accepting that. Yeah. So that means it is okay to, in the parent interface, the scope is what? Default. In the class that is implementing the interface, the scope is what? Public. That means what are you doing? You are increasing the scope. Correct, right? So that is allowed. Okay. So, but ideally, what we do is we don't do that. Oh, it is not default. Can you tell me why it is not default? Perfect. So it is an interface. By default, it is public abstract. And here also it is public. That is fine. Right? So if it is public, you cannot, in the interface where you are implementing it, where was that? Test functional interface, right? This one. Now, by default, it is public. Now, what I'll do is I'll remove this. That means it will become what? Default. What are we doing there? In the parent class or in the interface, the scope is public. Here, what I'm doing, I'm bringing it down, right, to default. That is not allowed, right? So changing the access specifiers is not overriding. We have already discussed it. You have to maintain everything same, and then what you need to change is the body. When you're implementing, you have a different body to it. Correct, right? So public means it has to be public only. You cannot change it to default. It won't take. Yeah, we will talk about this again, but for now, let it be public. This is what we have been talking. Now, let us try to reduce this code and see if we can try to write it in a very neat and clean manner. What is that? Let us see. Just see here. Be with me. Let me try to write, by the way. Yeah, so I'm also a little new to the syntax, but let us try to do this. Yeah, I give you 1 second. Let's put a small note. By the way, you are all really lucky that I'm talking about functional interfaces, anonymous inner class, and the next one that we are going to discuss is the Lambda expressions, right? You are all really lucky, I'm telling you. I did not take them for previous batches. Okay. So that is why I'm little doubtful here. Okay, let us try to hunt it. Let us give a try. So what I'm doing now is, just be with me. Now, what is it going to take? This is going to take, I'm deleting everything. Now see what happens now, how much small it will become. Return type is anyway the add numbers. I mean, it is return type is anyway int, right? So uh, okay, so yeah, so sorry for that. So now what we will do here is, just be with me, int x. This is very interesting. By the way, you will really enjoy it. Once you become a master over here in this, then you will start using this, you know, lambda expressions. Now, what is lambda expressions? I'll tell you. After writing this, I'll tell you. Okay, and then here it is a plus b. That's all. So now see here. So can you just see here what is happening here? What I'm doing, whatever we did it earlier, whatever implementation we did it for the functional interface. Do you remember we wrote that method altogether, right? So we just gave the body to the method. Now all of that is being simplified like this. It has become so simplified now. Just see here, fi dot add numbers, say 10, 30 for example. Okay, be with me. Be with me. I'll explain you again, don't worry. Maybe the syntax is a little tricky. So what is happening here? No, body at all. Let's see whether this works or not. This is working, right? Now let us go back and discuss about this, okay? So now let us write the anonymous inner class first. So how do we write the anonymous inner class? What is our interface? Functional interface, right? So fi is equal to new functional interface. There is an anonymous class we have to create, correct? And then what is the method that is there? Add numbers, right? So let us do this now. Give the body to it. What is the body here? A plus b. We are not doing anything. We are just adding both the numbers and returning the sum. Can I write a plus b in capital? You cannot, because they are variables, right? So this is what it is. Now see, this is an anonymous inner class. Now to test this, what I have to do? I have to just say fi dot add numbers and then pass whatever values that you want to pass. This will give you the sum, right? And if you want to test it, you can just say int sum is equal to this, and then say system.out.println sum. That's what it is. This is what you have been doing, right? And now let me run this. Very important. Please go through this video once again. Okay, see, now we are getting the sum. So this is a functional interface, and this is what is anonymous inner class that we have already discussed. Now, anonymous inner class went one step further fine tuning. The Java people have realized, why do we need to write? See, if you just see here, take one by one here. So this is what this and this are same, right? And anyway, you're creating a new object. Why this new keyword is required? Not required. Okay, so once again, now be with me. What I'll do is I will copy this. Okay, so now let us try to simplify this code now. That is what is a lambda expression. So we will keep this as it is. That is this part. Okay, so now new is also not required. That means by default anyway you're creating a new object. Why do you want to write that new? Once again, not required. Leave that. What are the arguments of this method? It takes two arguments. Write that. So one is int a, int x, int y, whatever you can do it, right? So int a and then int b. Now what is the body of the method? So before writing the body of the method, the syntax of lambda expression is you have to give an arrow like this, hyphen and then arrow. And that means that from now whatever you're writing is goes into the body. That's what is the meaning. Now what do you want to do in the body? Now see here, you again want to write all this. This is duplicate, right? This is duplicate. Because you're anyway implementing the add numbers method, why do you want to once again write public int add numbers? You are anyway giving the implementation to that method, why do you want to again write that code? So that's what you are doing over here at the top, right? If you just see here, so you are doing the same thing over here, duplicate code. So that is what they are avoiding in the lambda expression. Remove that, not required. So you removed all this. See here, removed all this, okay? Removed, I will copy once again just to keep all of them in place so that you remember. Now you'll understand what is happening here. So I am removing this, not required. Not required, right? Flower bracket is also not required. So this is anyway duplicate. Why do you want to give this? Not required, remove this. So directly give what? Arguments. Give the arguments. Okay? And then flower bracket is there. That means that this shows its body. So why do you want to do that? Right? So they don't want to even give the flower bracket. So what is that they have given? This icon, this symbol. Then what is there in the body? You are just returning it a plus b, adding a plus b and returning it. Again, why do you want to return? Return keyword is optional. That means if you are not writing return, that means it is going to return by anyways, right? So remove this. That's all. And remove this. That's all. So this is what is your lambda expression altogether. Are you getting it? So now see what I'm doing. How do I write the lambda expression? So remove everything. Only arguments are there. Body. And then what I have to do in the body, I just have to say a plus b. You don't have to even say return, not required. You don't have to even say return, which is not required. Now, can you understand how much simplified it has become? Can you just see here? See, lambda expressions are substitute for anonymous inner class. That is something that you need to remember. Lambda expressions are substitute or they are one-line expressions for your anonymous inner class. You don't have to write an anonymous inner class. Just by using the syntax like this, you can go ahead and write the lambda expression. Okay, and this will save lot of code. This will save lot of code. Yeah, this will save lot of code. That is why Python has become so popular. This is copied from Python by the way. Yeah, so it was not there in Java 7 or 6 earlier. Java 8, once Oracle acquired Sun, they wanted to reduce the code. Right now, see how many lines of code we have reduced. Can you just go back and see here how much? Even if you use anonymous inner class, if you don't use anonymous inner class, then God only knows you have to write one class, implement that, use the body, then write another tester class, create the object, and then use it. So much of duplicate code. Even if you're using anonymous inner class, how many lines of code are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lines of code. Now it has become how much? Only one line. Only one line of code. What this is doing? This is basically implementing the add numbers method at one shot. Is it clear now? So this is a syntax you need to remember. Okay, this is a syntax you need to remember. We will talk more about this. Now see, system.out.println, just to say fi.add numbers. That's it. That's all. You don't have to do all of that. This I will anyway remove because we have understood now. So now see here, this is what it is. It has become lambda expression the moment you write how many lines of code we are saving. So many lines of code, these many lines of code we are saving. This is again a lambda only. I will remove this. So this is how it would have been if you use anonymous in a class. Using lambda expression, it has become so smooth. Correct, right? You are not writing this, which is a duplicate. We are not writing flower brackets. Flower brackets are optional. If there are too many lines of code, more than one line of code, then you have to write the flower brackets. Okay? Even in the case of lambda also, if there are too many lines of code, more than one, then you have to write the flower brackets. Otherwise, flower bracket is optional. Return is optional. Right? So see the beauty here. See, when you add int and int, anyway it's going to be int only, and that's what you're returning. Even if you don't write, it is returned. That's what is the meaning. Okay. So now, is this clear? This little tricky, but is it clear? Yeah. Yes. Anonymous inner class can be used, ideally it is used for with respect to the functional interfaces. Anonymous inner class as well as lambda. They are mostly used with respect to, or basically along with the functional interfaces. Okay. Even if you have a class or abstract class, if you want to implement that the way we have seen for the anonymous inner class, you can replace that with lambda expression. Wherever anonymous class is there, you can replace that with a, what lambda expression. That's what I'm trying to say. Is it clear? So the program will become so simple. Now let us assume that this method is not returning anything. This method is not returning anything, void. It is not returning anything. Now it is void. So now over here in the lambda expression, I'm adding a plus b, that means by default it is returning. I don't want to return anything. So now what I will do here, I will say system.out.println a plus b. So what I'm doing here is I am basically not returning anything. In the method itself, I'm just printing the sum. Are you getting it? What we are trying to do here? See, this is instead of return, what we are doing here, we are just saying system.out.println a plus b. Imagine if the return type is void. This is what you might have done. You don't want to return the sum, you just want to print the sum. In that case, if you're using lambda expression, it will become this much. It becomes so simple. It becomes so simple. Are you getting it? So if there are more than one line of code, you can still use the flower brackets like this. This is still okay because there is only one line, that's why it's not allowing. If there are more than one lines, it will allow. Okay, so something like this. See here, if you have more than, imagine that method is a big method, right? You have to give a lot of body to it, not just one line. In that case, you can still use lambda. You can still use lambda, or you can still use anonymous inner class. But in that case, flower bracket becomes mandatory. Are you getting it? So now let us go back, and then we wrote one class just now. Where was that? Animal was there. Then test animal, test dog was there. Eat method is there. Correct, right? Now what did we write here? We wrote the anonymous inner class. Correct? So can we change it to lambda? Can we try? Can you all be with me? So this is what is anonymous inner class. Okay. So now let us write a lambda expression. What is a lambda expression? Animal A is equal to. Do I have to write new animal? Not required. Are there any arguments to it? No arguments to the it method. So arguments are not there means what? That's it. No arguments. Right? What is that I want to do now? System.out.println the cat is eating or the dog is eating, whatever it is. A dot eat. That's all. You already have the lambda expression in place. Are you getting it? So the lambda expression is, it is used to basically, see here, it is working as expected. The cat is eating. So this much of code has been reduced to one line. Correct, right? So simple. Yeah. So even if you don't want to save it over here, let us see that will work or not. I think that may not work, but let us give it a try. No. You have to write the reference. Then only you will be able to invoke. I was just thinking directly to use eat over here. Something like this. See, this is becoming very, very popular, okay? So that is why I had to cover this for you. Otherwise, I would have left it. It won't work like this. Yeah, so you have to store the reference somewhere. Okay, then only it will work. You have to have something on the left-hand side. Okay, so you cannot directly invoke the method like this now. So this is what is the lambda expression and anonymous in the class. At least you got the idea how to use it. Yeah, very, very important. Functional interface means the interface which is having only one method. To implement that functional interface, you don't have to write a class. You can go with anonymous class. To save the lines of code, you can go with lambda expression. That's it. Lambda expression is substitute. Is it clear? Yeah. You can use with the others also. As I said, if there is more than one, you can still use it. But basically the thing is, whichever method you are implementing, only that will be considered. See, for example, over here, it can be used. You have to give the body to both of them. Okay, you are right. Okay, so anonymous inner class will work, but the lambda expression won't work. Right. So lambda expression is only for functional interface. You are right. So for functional interface, you have to use lambda. Right? For interface or a class or abstract class, you can use what? Anonymous inner class. Anonymous. For functional interface also, you can use anonymous interface. But for lambda, it is always functional interface. Are you getting it? Why? Because this is where inside this itself you have to give the body. Giving the body means you're giving the body to one method. If you want to do for another method, then you have to write another function lambda expression for that. You have to write another lambda expression that will still work, but we don't do it. Okay, so functional interface plus lambda expression, which is used along with the functional interface, is what is called as functional programming. Functional programming means what? You are using functional interfaces and then you're using lambda. Okay, both of them put together, that way of programming, that style of programming is called as functional programming. Is that clear to you? This is little tricky, but at least the concepts are clear. So can you try to write some lambda expressions by yourself so that you will get the confidence? Okay. Is it clear? Yeah. Okay. People on the Zoom. Yeah, Sneha.
In the real time, when will be using functional interfaces, abstract interfaces, and
Can you please be a little louder? I can't hear you completely.
In the real time, in what scenarios we will be using these interface, like functional interface or abstract class or interface?
Real scenario, for sure, you're going to use interfaces and abstract classes. right? As I said, your
Okay.
Selenium WebDriver itself is an interface. Okay. Now,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
question is, where do we use this Lambda expression? Imagine
yeah.
there is a functional interface which has just one method. You want to use it. You can go with the Lambda. You will save a lot of time. You will save a lot of lines of code. Okay. So we are going to use it, Sneha, down the line. There, see, imagine you're using third-party library, and there is an
Okay.
interface, and you want to give the implementation to it. And why do you want to write a class? You will straight away go with either anonymous or you go with Lambda. Okay, but you should know this. I'm telling you, this has become a mandatory nowadays. If you know Lambda, that will add a lot of value, right? And in Python, it is must. Python, or even if you go for languages like Go or Scala, right? So they're all functional programming. Too much of functional programming people are writing. You will not even understand what is that code. If you see somebody suddenly sees this code, what will they understand? Okay, so imagine even this is not there, right? So you see this code and you are a Java guy, right? And suddenly you're seeing this code. And believe me, you will not make it out what is this. Yeah, if you see functional programming for the first time, see, this is what it is, just 2 lines of code. You will not get to know what is happening here. What is the syntax and all, you will get confused. Okay, so, but that is why it's becoming so popular, very less lines of code, right? And especially in languages like Python, Scala, Go, they are giving more stress to functional programming. They don't want to write duplicate code. So much of duplicate code, right? New, anyway, it is new. This is again same thing. And why do you want to use the constructor? It's anyway default constructor. Yeah. If you have parameterized constructor, maybe that makes sense. But if it's default, why? And then anyway, interfaces cannot have constructors. By default, interfaces cannot have constructors. That is obvious. So why do you want to use them? And then again, this anyway, it is there in the method. Why do you want to write this return type, access specifier, and the name of the method? You want to give the body, just give the body. That's what we're doing. Stay onto the business. That's it. Nothing else. That's what is Lambda. This is only there from JDK 8 onwards. If you're using Java 7, no Lambda. Okay, don't think that Lambda will be there. Yeah. All right. People on the Zoom, functional programming, anonymous inner class, and Lambda expressions. Any questions? Anybody? Muslim, clear now? Clear, Netra, Sneha, clear? Clear, Satyapriya, yeah, sorry. So, people on the Zoom, Sangeeta, is that clear to you?
Yeah, sir.
Okay. Sneha, is that clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Sneha, where do we use is something that you will use it down the line based on the libraries that you use, right?
Yeah,
Selenium
yeah.
libraries or TestNG libraries that when you use it, you will get a lot of classes and interfaces. Maybe you want to create the objects of some third-party classes. That time you can go with Lambda. Okay, but at least the usage is clear, Sneha.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Sukrita, how about you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what I want you to do is, I will give you some assignments for Lambda expressions. Maybe I will share the interface with you, functional interface. You have to write a Lambda expression for that, so that you will gain some confidence. Okay, because they are very important, Lambda expressions. When somebody asks you to do that in an interview, maybe they will give you, this is my interface, can you implement it and test it? Imagine they give you an assignment to you like that, program, the small program, one interface which is having add numbers exactly like this. They're asking you, can you implement this interface and test this add method? Then if you write Lambda expression, they'll be very happy. Correct? You can write it in a traditional way also. You can write a class that will implement that interface and write another tester class, have a main method and create the object of that class and then test that method, invoke that method, the way we have been doing it. Right? But if you write anonymous in a class or if you write Lambda, they will be clean bold. I'm telling you, they'll be very happy. So you have to start using more and more Lambda. Is it clear? Yeah? Okay. Now, one more thing here. So that is, before I complete, so that is, say, I'm having an interface here. and I'm saving it as interface static. Just name here like that. This interface is there. This interface is having a void each method. By default, it is public and abstract, right? Now I'm saying static drink. System dot or dot println the animal, whatever it is drinking. The moment you see this, you will really get confused. All these days, static void. Sorry. All these days, we have been seeing that interfaces will have only which methods? Abstract methods. Now, what I'm doing here? I'm adding a static method inside an interface. This is a new concept altogether. Whatever we are discussing today, they're all advanced topics, okay, in Java. Yeah. An interface by default will have only public and abstract methods, is what we have been learning all this over the time. But now an interface can also have a static method. It can have, that is allowed. That is allowed. So why is this Java people have allowed it? Again, this is started from JDK 8. It was not there earlier. Now why is this? Let us try to write a Lambda for this. So, or anonymous inner class for this for now. You can write Lambda also. I'm testing a test static faces. Okay, so now see here what I'm doing here. Okay, so this is my main method. What is my interface? My interface is interface static. Interface static dot drink. I can directly call like this. No need to implement and all. You can, if an interface is having any static method, it's just like a static member. How do you call static members? Class name dot member name, interface name dot member name. That's it. So you can run it. It will work as it is, right? So in the latest versions of Java, so don't mix up the things, okay? I'm just keeping the things as separate as possible so that you understand the concepts. Interface can also have static methods, is what I'm trying to say. If an interface is having any static method, if you want to use it, no need to implement that. Directly you can call it. That's what it is. But for the other method, which is still what? Which is abstract, for that you have to implement it. For that, either you have to write anonymous inner class or you can write Lambda. That is still applicable. But this one, you can, without any problems, you can call it. Can we try to implement the other one which is there? What was that? Interface static, right? IS is equal to, what is the method? Each method. Is it taking any arguments? Let us try to write anonymous inner class first. Now new interface static. Anonymous inner class. Be with me. I'm writing both just to show it to you. Again, I'm telling you, you're all really lucky. I was not covering all these days earlier. The implementation of each method, something like this, whatever you want. And then here, I would say what? is.each. That's it. This is anonymous inner class. Let us run this now. Both of them are working. Now, without anonymous inner class, shall we try to write a functional interface for Lambda expression for this? Interface static IS1 I will say, lambda. Arguments are there? Not there. Lambda symbol. Then what is the implementation? If there is no return type, there are no multiple lines of code, only one system.out.println is there. Let us write that. The eat method using lambda expression. Correct? So now to call this, what do you have to do? IS1 dot eat. That's all. Is it clear now? So now this will make you all the things clear. Anonymous in a class, static interface, static method inside an interface, and then the lambda expressions. No matter inside the package, the scope, anyway, the methods are public, right? So you can, use it. I'm having another class here. Test 1, 2, 3. Just like that. This is another class in the same package. Okay. Now, what is my interface? Interface static dot, you can call it, no problem, because the scope is public, right? It is there everywhere. You can just call it as it is. Is it clear? Right? Now, I will tell you one thing which is little interesting. Test 1, 2, 3 implements interface static. Okay. Now it is traditional way of implementing an interface. How many methods are there? 2 methods are there. One is static, other one is abstract. So I will have to give the body. So when I give the body, for which method I am giving the body? Eat method, which is abstract. How about the static method? What about that? Implementation of eat method. Right? Now, let me try to, whatever method which is there over here, the static method, let me try to overwrite it. Overwriting is, you know what is overriding, right? So let me keep everything, and then I'm saying here, I'm just changing. Now, do you think it is overriding the initial static method, which was there in the parent interface? No. Don't think that this is overriding the static method which was there in the interface. If it is overriding, you will see a solid, can you see here? Implementing. Here like that, if it is overriding, you will see a solid triangle, right? I told you. Are you seeing the solid triangle here? No. That means this is a method which is belonging to only this class. Don't think that this is overriding of the method which is coming from the interface. No, this is not the method which is coming from this interface. Why? Because if you comment it out, if we have to implement that, it would have given us. It's not even giving us, right? That means if an interface is having a static method, what is the significance of that? What is the use of that? The use of that is you cannot override it. You cannot do anything with it as it is, you need to use it. If somebody wants you to give a design, there they write an interface and then keep some methods as abstract and some method, 1 or 2 methods as static. What is the meaning? You use it as it is. No need to change. You cannot change also. Are you getting it? That is the significance of having static methods inside an interface. Are you getting it? So this is again copied from Python. Okay, so it is more or less like that. But this is a very, very helping feature, I'm telling you. Otherwise, imagine if the static method was not there, in the class you have to write this method. Correct, right? You have to write this method, code it again, and then use it, create the object of this class, and then invoke this method. Correct, right? You have to do all that. Now what do you have to do? All of that is not required. You can simply say this dot print interface static. Yeah. Now you cannot write the code directly outside of anything, right? So you have to write either inside the main method or inside any other method. Okay, see here. Directly you can call it over. Is that clear? Okay, so what are the things we discussed? We discussed about functional programming, right? Let me come back again from the sequence. First thing that we discussed was anonymous inner class, right? And then we discussed about what? First, we discussed about anonymous. I always get confused. Anonymous. This is what we discussed first. And then we discussed about functional interface. And with respect to functional interface, we can use either anonymous inner class or lambda expressions. We have seen that for functional interface, we can use lambda or anonymous inner class. When you use functional interface and lambda expression together, that type of programming approach is called as what? Functional programming. And anonymous inner class can be used for other interfaces classes as well. But lambda is mostly with respect to the functional interface, right? Thanks to Satyapriya for bringing that out. And then finally, interface with static method. What is the significance of this? Can't override. Right? You need to use it as it is. Is it clear now? So these are the topics that we have discussed. Okay. You can call it anywhere else. You can call it here also. This method, you can call it. See, you are giving the body, that body was not there, you are giving the body. Inside this body, you are calling that. It has to be part of any method, that's all. Not necessarily naming. Okay. So mostly we have covered the topics that were intended, right? So with this now the pending things are, one is Q, comparator. What else was there? Regex. Regex is important. And nested interfaces. That's it, right? 4 topics are pending. So these 4 topics we will be covering tomorrow first thing in the morning, right? Because I need some small little amount of preparation. I somehow managed these things without preparation, believe me. Yeah, so but it is good, and you are all really lucky. I'm telling you, because you've got to know about Lambda, you've got to know about functional programming, you've got to know about anonymous inner class. Were you knowing about this earlier? No? Anybody? Java wise, were you knowing? People on the Zoom, Sukruta, by any chance, did you ever hear about?
No, sir, I was not aware of this.
Okay, now at least you got the idea. Sukruta, you got the idea at least how to use this?
No, sir.
Now you got the idea how to use it? Yeah, I missed Sukruta. So now are you at least clear how to use this lambda expression and functional programming, Sukruta?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How about you, Sneha?
One question.
Yeah, please.
So when I asked the question about regarding when we were discussing about anonymous class, right?
Right.
So at that point of time, when it had like more than one method, also we were able to write those in the as part of anonymous class.
Correct.
But when it comes to lambda expression, and assume there are 2 methods which are like of the same written type, like void. So 2 methods which are void, like eat is also void and drink is also void. And that point of time, like since we will be passing only the empty braces, which means the void in lambda expression. So will that be applicable for more than one method there, like lambda expression?
No. Ideally, see, when you write the code, now first of all, why do you write the duplicate methods? Right? It is your interface. When you are writing an interface, imagine add numbers A, B, right? Again, why do you want to write add numbers A, B? Or maybe add numbers, instead of add numbers, it's say add AB, right? So if both the method names are different and the argument types are same, Now, which method will be called, right? Now, once you create the Lambda expression, right, whatever implementation you give, based on that, it will call that method. Are you getting it? But ideally, Lambda expression is used with respect to functional programming. Usually, the moment you have more than one methods in the interface, usually we don't use Lambda there. Okay, we go with anonymous inner class. Okay,
Okay.
so Lambda is tightly tied with functional programming.
Okay.
All right, good. Sangeeta, is that clear to you? Sangeeta, whatever we discussed. I can't
Sir.
think.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Sneha, how about you? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Taslim, clear. Functional programming, Lambda, very important. Correct. You need to tell interfaces are 100% abstract. By default, all the methods of an interface are public and abstract. But however, we can have the static methods in the interface from GTK 8 onwards. Yeah. They might ask you repeatedly, can interface only have public abstract methods? Can we only have abstract methods? That means is expecting that you should know that nowadays interfaces can also have static methods. That's what it is, right? Remember like that. Is it clear now? Is it clear? Is it clear? All right. So what we will do is we'll take a quick break. 12:10 in my watch. We will meet at 12:20. 10 minutes break. Refresh yourself. And once we come back, I remember that these are the 4 topics pending still. Okay. We should have completed by today, but unfortunately, problem from my side. I will take that 1 hour in the first thing tomorrow. What we will do is once we come back, we'll start with the HTML today. At least you can go back and practice on the HTML. Yeah. So let us take a quick break, about 10 minutes. Okay, we'll meet back. Refresh yourself. So Sangeeta, you're saying that you need to go a little early. Till what time you will be available? Sangeeta? Already on to break? Yeah? All right, no problem. Go to break. Yeah. Password is password. We just lock it for now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you able to see my screen as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I was just talking about the different editors that we have nowadays. There are a lot of editors. Notepad++ is very popular. Okay, for writing the code, and then you also have Sublime Text, and you also have the latest one is called as Visual Studio Code. Okay, so this is a very good editor from Microsoft. Okay, so you can write the Java code, you can write HTML, you can write Python, JavaScript, anything. Yeah. So has become very popular nowadays. By the way, Microsoft has really regained a lot of movement because of this. Yeah. So let us use this for now. Sublime is taking a lot of time to download. Visual Studio Code. So you can write Python, you can write C++, you can write, all this debugging you can do. There are a lot of languages it supports. Excellent. 42 minutes. It's taking also a lot of time. Then finally, we don't have any option. I will just try with the Notepad. Notepad plus plus. Because Notepad plus plus is not there in Prasanna's machine. It's not there, right? Notepad plus plus. Why this is not? Maybe it's not connected. Leave it. That's okay. So the intention was to write the code using some good editors, but the download itself is taking a lot of time. Let us leave that. Now, let us go back to see. I remember that these are the 4 topics that are pending. We will cover that first thing in the morning tomorrow. Tomorrow the class will be at either 9:30. I was just talking to Subhash, or 10:30. Even if it's 9:30, it's getting started by 10:30. Yeah, but we will try to start it by 10:30 if it is at 10:30, because he just said that he needs to shuffle the classrooms. There are some demos happening. Maybe there is a demo for Java Selenium also. Okay, in case. So in case if you have any of your friends, colleagues, relatives, boyfriends, girlfriends, right? If they also want to learn Java Selenium, please refer them. So there will be a demo session tomorrow at 9 o'clock, tentatively, depending on the number of inquiries that we have. That is why I'm pushing your batch to 10:30. I will get to know by today evening, today night. So in case if the class is at 9:30, I will text you. In case if the class is at 10:30, I will text you. So you can come accordingly. If it is at 10:30, and if you plan to start a demo tomorrow, in case if you have any of your friends, roommates, batchmates, colleagues, please encourage them to learn if they also want to learn. So if you really liked it, then refer it. If you have not liked it, then don't refer it. Okay. So the batch will be starting, and the batch would be a morning batch. Demo is tomorrow, but the batch timings will be in the morning every day, morning 8 to 9:30, like that. It will be a morning batch. So I will be stopping taking weekend batches, okay, after your batch. So either weekends or weekdays, any one of the batches I usually take, not both. So somehow I felt it, weekends, yeah, it's little kind of getting stretched, and we don't get time also, right? So I'll shift to weekdays mode, and weekends at least I'll be a little free with the family. So if you have any of your friends, please refer them so that they can also come and learn and make use of it. Okay. So the timings I will confirm you tomorrow for your batch, but the demo is planned at 9 o'clock. If your batch is at 10:30, that means demo is fixed at 9 o'clock. Okay. I will let anyway you know. So in case if you have anyone in mind, please ask them to come and attend. If you want to attend, you can attend. You feel free. Yeah. So HTML tutorial. Okay. W3 schools. So you have to start referring this. I already told you. I don't know how many of you really got the chance to go through this. Done. Okay. Just started. Prasanna, okay. People on the Zoom, has anybody able to go to HTML and practice it? Sangeeta? Sangeeta, did you get a chance to practice HTML? Sneha, how about you?
No, sir, seriously.
Okay. Okay. Sukrita?
Yet to start, sir.
Yet to start, okay. So I am starting it today so that all of you can start. Yeah. let us start and see what is this HTML is. Okay. Now, when I say HTML, this is basically for designing the web pages, remember. Okay. So HTML is a language, it's a markup language, hypertext markup language. HTML stands for hypertext markup language, HTML. It's a markup language. So this is a language which your browsers will understand. Okay. So remember, your browsers will only understand HTML and JavaScript and CSS. That's it. So all of them are mainly used for designing the web pages. Okay. So now HTML has tags. Okay, so when we say HTML, so what is this HTML? It is nothing but a set of tags, predefined tags. So we have some keywords in Java, right? So in Java, we use public static void main, we use interface, we use class. There are keywords, right? So likewise, in the case of HTML, there are just tags. There are n number of tags. Okay, so all of you should at least know some of the important tags. At least you know how to put a text box, how to put a button, checkbox, radio button, drop down box, image, link, right? These are some of the things that you should be familiar with. Okay, so today we will spend some time and try to write some basic HTML pages and try to understand some of the tags, attributes, etc., etc., so that you get familiar, and then it will give you a push to start it, yourself as well, right? So I know that all of you need some push to start. Yeah. So that is why I thought of not taking this session in case if you would have already gone through HTML and be comfortable. But seeing the response from most of you, I thought at least it's required now to spend 1 hour on the HTML also. Yeah. So which will give you some kind of recap in case if you already learned it. Okay. Now, so what is the role of this HTML? For example, if I want to now see here, this is the website. This is a page, web page. Now there is a link here. There's a link, right? There's a link. If you click on that, it will take you to that. If you want to put a link on the page, so for that, what you have to do is you have to use a tag for it. So for every element, every web element, that means the HTML element that you want to see on the page. For example, see there's an icon here, there's an image. And then, if you just see here, this is also a link here. And then if you see here, there's some text here, right? And if you see here, there's an image. So there's a button here. So if you want to put buttons, if you want to put links, images, drop-down boxes, etc., etc., then for that, there are some corresponding HTML tags. You just have to use those tags and then save the file as a .html extension. That's it. And you open that in a browser, the browser can understand the HTML. It can interpret the HTML. Okay, it is just like your compiler. So what browser will do? It will take the HTML code, go through the tags, and it will not show the tag on the page. Rather than that, every tag has a corresponding element to be displayed on the page. If you write a button tag, it will put a button. If you write a tag, anchor tag, it will put a link on the page. If you write an image tag, img tag, it will put an image. Which image you want to put, you have to tell that where is the file. So every corresponding HTML tag will be displayed as a component on the web page. Is it clear? So for every web component like button, link, text box, checkbox, radio button, there are some corresponding HTML tags that you should be knowing. Okay. So what is the job of a browser? Every browser, whether it's Chrome, Firefox, IE, Edge, Safari, Opera. So what they do, they take the HTML, they go through the HTML and convert that HTML tags into a web page. That is what is the role of every browser. That's what browsers do, right? They are not basically like your Java or .NET, which is used on the server side. So Java programming language is used on the server. This is a client. Browser is a client, meaning whatever you see. Now you are a user. How do you interact with w3schools.com? That's an application that is deployed on some server, right? It is running maybe somewhere down the line, maybe in AWS or in their own infrastructure, it is running. So now you use www.w3schools.com. You basically connect to that website, right? And then it will load the web page for you. Then you click on something, some link, SQL link. It will again send the request back. It will load that page for you. So where all these pages are stored on the server. And what is that you are seeing? You are using the browser, which is interacting with that application, right? So browser is your client, okay? So most of the web-based applications are developed in this fashion, client server. This is what is called as a client server architecture. So you have a client, which is browser, and you are interacting with the application, which is deployed on some server, okay? So you click, you enter, you submit, then the request goes to server. Server will send you another page. It's like that, okay? Server again may talk to the database, right? So to fetch your data and all, again give you the response back. Request, response. Request, response. So this is what is the UI. This is a user interface. This is a UI, right? You can see UI means GUI, graphical user interface. GUI means you can see all the buttons, etc., etc. Now, when you, for example, you enter some details here and then click on submit or login, then what will happen? It will take your username, password, and then your IP address of the machine from which you are entering. For now, let us assume that username and password it will take and send it to the server, right? So in which form it is going to send, that is up to the developer. UI is just a media. It is a medium for the user to feed the data. That's it. UI in itself is not, UI is important. I'm not saying it's not important. UI is just there for the user to use the application. Once user enters all the data, then username, for example, say Patil. Password, say Patil123, right? So this is the request that has to be sent to, for example, say gmail.com, an application which is running on some server. Now, how this data is sent to the server? For that, there can be a number of technologies used. Nowadays, most of the people are using a technology called as REST, right? So basically, REST is a protocol which is used between the client and the server, right? So now, REST uses HTTP. Always remember, when you say browser, it is HTTP, means request response. So your client will send the request, your server will send the response. It is always like that. So once the server receives some request and it processes it and then sends the response back, okay, then it will also, along with the response, it will also give some status code. So you should understand that. Okay, so whenever you get some time, you should go through these HTTP status codes. Important, yeah. As a QA, as a see, for REST also they're giving it. As a developer, as IT professional, you should know them. So for example, see you enter something and then click on a submit button, the request goes. And the request goes to server processes it and it sends the response back. So response will have some response codes. Along with the page that is coming, it will also send some response code. Response code is for the developers to interpret that and see whether the responses come properly or not. Then based on that, they can take the call what has to be displayed on the page. Okay. So there are some response codes like 200 OK. 200 OK is which code? 200 status code means it's a successful. So it has received the request, it has processed the request and sent the response back successfully, right? So 202 means only accepted. Yeah. So if you just see here, always remember there are some series of HTTP request response codes. So the one which is starting with series 100, 101, 102, that is called as informational. This is only for interacting the client and server. It is not useful for the users. Okay. That means if you send something, if it's giving you the response code as 100, that means it's allowing you to continue. You can send some more requests. That's what is the meaning. If you see 200, this is all the successful responses. Okay. If you see 300 status code, the 300 status code is for redirection, meaning you are hitting a server and that page, for example, w3schools.com, and now that resource, that means the page which is there on that server, is not there currently present. It is moved to somewhere else, some other infrastructure. So what they do, They will take your request and they will redirect internally to another server. You hit w3schools.com only, but initially it was pointing to some X server. Now internally it will go to that X, from there it will get redirected. Okay, so that redirection status codes will always start from 300. 300 means it is moved permanently, redirection. These are all related to redirection. Or see, for example, you are hitting a website, and then that to hit that website, you need a proxy. Proxy means, you understand? Basically, from your browser, when the request goes, it has to go to another server. Proxy means what is proxy? It is not a original one, duplicate one, right? So proxy means your request will not directly hit that server. Usually all your companies will have proxies so that they can track what requests are going out of your company's intranet and whatever is coming right into that, right? So proxies are used. So if some request has to go through a proxy, so you have to mention, if it is giving you a status code as 305, that means you're not allowed to access it directly. You have to go via a proxy. That's what it's mean. So 300 series will tell you about the redirection and proxy, and if they are moved to some other location, etc. And then you have 400 series. You might have seen this 404, 404, 405. Now what is the status code? They are all client error responses. Meaning, if you are sending a request which is bad, it is not expected in that format. It is expected in the XML format. You are sending it as a REST JSON, then it will show that bad request, right? Or maybe unauthorized, common thing. You are trying to access a resource. See, resource means something which is, I will talk about this in case if we start a REST course very soon. This is all part of HTTP, REST, they go hand in hand. So REST also works on HTTP. So it is very important whether it's a browser or REST. Both of them will work on HTTP only. Even if it's a browser, it's HTTP. You enter something, send request, it goes, talks over the HTTP protocol, right? Even if it is REST, it is again HTTP protocol. Only thing is, REST is a proper syntax based. You will have the request and response maybe in the form of JSON or XML. Mostly it is JSON in the case of REST. Otherwise, if it is a browser, you can still send using maybe your JSP, servlets, ASP, or any other technology. You can use it, take that, put that, wrap it, and send it to the client. Okay. So, but REST is more lightweight. Yeah. So, but anyways, so whenever you are accessing any page, for example, w3schools.com/SQL, that's a resource, that's a page. If you are accessing it, if you don't have the access to it, then it will say unauthorized. Maybe as a user, they want to show only few. If you're a free user, maybe they want to show you only few courses. If you're a paid user, then you'll be allowed to all the courses. In case if you access something which is not authorized for you, then you will get 401, meaning you're not authorized to use it. So all the 400 series, they are what client-side errors. That means there's something wrong you're doing from your side. Either it is a REST or it's a browser. The request that is going itself is wrong. If you get 400 series errors, that means you have the problem. Remember that, right? Most of the common things is 404 not found, meaning you're trying to access a request which is not there. 401 not authorized, right? So these are the common things that you usually get, right? Bad request, 401. You should know this course. Okay? This is important from the interview point of view. Yeah. And conflict means you're trying to access something which is conflicting. Yeah. So there are a lot of, you don't have to really remember all of them, but it's good at least if you know 3-4 codes in every series, like 100 series, 200 series, like that. Then coming the last one, that is 500. 500 is the problem on the server side. Sometimes you might get right, you're trying to access something, internal server error. What is the meaning of that? That is, there is a problem on the server itself. The server is running, it has to serve you pages, but that server itself is down, or crashed, or something happened, right? Not accessible. So all the 500 series errors, status code, they are talking about the server side errors. Server side information, remember, right? If you see here, you might have seen this bad gateway. That means you're trying to enter the request through a gateway, right? That gateway is not right. And there's a service unavailable. Sometimes it happens, right? They are maybe deploying something and you're trying to access it. Then you will get what? 503, right? So 504, gateway timeout. You are trying to, you might get all this insufficient storage and all. 505 is something, HTTP version not supported. What was that? Bad gateway. So this is a really crucial one. If you're getting 500 internal server, the server itself is down. It's not a good sign for the website or the owner of the business, right? So you'll have to ensure that his application is always available, right? That is what we call it as what? High availability, HA. Nowadays you might hear this term. This is other than Java Selenium, okay? Whatever I'm teaching, this is just for your benefit, right? So as you are all my students, I'm giving you this bonus, yeah? So this is just for your extra information so that it will help you to be more confident, okay? So high availability, HA, is a term. That means what? It will tell your Amazon Web Services, if you want to deploy any website in the Amazon Web Services, they will tell our availability is 99.999%. Means what? If you use their infrastructure, if you deploy your application into their infrastructure, that means they will ensure that every time it is available to you. 100% of the time, if anybody is accessing at any point in time, round the clock, across the globe, right, they will ensure that it is available. It will not go down. Infrastructure wise, it will not go down. That is why, that is what is HA, high availability. How will they achieve it? They will achieve it by having multiple instances. If they have deployed, let us say, w3schools.com on one server in the Amazon cloud infrastructure, it is not one. There will be backups. If this goes down, they will immediately redirect the request to some other server, which is a backup instance. For the user, you will not even know. Both of the servers will be talking to the same database, right? So that you will not even get to know. If this is down, other one will come up, right? It will take your request. Okay. Even if the load increases, for example, if you take your holiday seasons and all, a lot of people booking flights, your IRCTC, Tatkal time, if you take a lot of people booking Tatkal ticket at one shot, then what will happen? Imagine there is only one instance. Instance means that application is running on one server. You hit, a lot of people hit. That is having some limitation. It's infrastructure. It is having some RAM, right? Server means what? Just like a box. So it is having some RAM, some hard disk. So now suddenly it is not able to take all that load. Then what it will do? Your Amazon cloud will spin another instance. That means it will take the code and put it in another server, another machine, and start that instance. When the requests are more, it will ensure that it will load balance. It will balance the load, the number of requests. Okay, so that is what is called as load balancing. What is load balancing? You have a load balancer in the beginning. All your requests will come to this load balancer. People on the Zoom will not understand this, right? I will have to use some way to explain them. Yeah, so wait. Okay, so what happens is, this is your load balancer. All your requests will go to this system, right? Multiple requests are going to this. Behind this load balancer, there are a lot of instances running, right? So imagine there is only one instance. Load increases. Immediately, what your AWS will do, it will spin up a new instance. Spin up means what? Take the code, deploy the code on another machine. That's all, right? And then like this, like this, like this, all the servers will be registered with the load balancer. This is your LB. There are a lot of load balancers available. Load balancer again is software, right? So it is deployed on some hardware. It is balancing all your loads. So depending on the load, number of instances will increase so that it has to support that particular business. High availability, right? Because imagine the bank, if that goes down, then they will lose a lot of business. Imagine if the IRCTC website goes down during a time, they will lose a lot of money. Right? So everything is business. Everything is money. right? So ultimately, everything boils down to money. Remember, dollars. Yeah. So that's what it is. The whole world is running behind. So they will have to ensure that it is available 100% of the times. Okay. So now this is what happens on the cloud side. Okay. Anyways, now why I'm telling you all this, you should know about HTTP codes. You should know about little bit about what is HA. Now you, at least you got to know high availability. How that is achieved is by spinning multiple instances and load balancing. So load balancing and high availability, they go hand in hand. Okay. And the request, the client can be a browser or it can be a REST request using some of the clients like Postman or REST client or SOAP UI, there are a lot of tools. You don't have to use browser. Browser is for the users. Okay. Now imagine, okay, imagine like this. There is one application running here. Your application, say IRCTC is running here. Now IRCTC can also talk to some other application. Maybe using IRCTC, you can also book flight tickets. Nowadays, it is allowed. But do you think IRCTC is having all that information about flights and all? No. So it will connect to some application, which is, imagine, let us say it is, jetairways.com, right? So now from the irctc.com and from the, it has to talk to some other website and get the information. So how both these systems are talking to each other, right? These are different systems altogether. They have to talk to each other. That is again over HTTP, right? Now imagine this IRCTC is developed using Java. Just imagine this IRCTC is developed using Java, and this Indian jetairways.com is developed using .NET. Now there is no common technology between these two, right? They have to communicate. So how will they communicate? For that, they will use a language which is independent of any technology. Are you getting it? So that is what is required. If you say that my application can only understand Java, then your business will come down, right? So that is where you don't have any technology dependency there. So we use something called as web services. If we say that this Jet Airways is offering a service. It is service means what? Service, you understand, right? I am offering a service. Say I am offering a service. I have deployed some code on my server. If somebody wants the list of flights between Bangalore and Delhi and so date, you please call me with so and so parameters. I will send you the response. I am having a service. I am doing that service. I will do the service for you if you send me the request in some particular format. Right? So that service is nothing but a web service. So web service and web application, what is the difference? Client and server. You use a browser and then it will go and talk to the server and give you a response back. So they are talking over a particular language. Maybe it is JSP or ASP or JavaScript or whatever. But between two servers, between two systems, right? If they have to communicate with each other, they will have to use a language which is independent or neutral. That is what is web service. Web service is something that will use what? That will use either a XML or a JSON. It will use a XML or JSON. These two are platform independent. They will run on Unix, Linux, Mac, Windows, Java, .NET, ASP, JSP, everything will work using XML or JSON. They are just used to transfer the data, right? The request from IRCTC to the jetairways.com will go as a JSON request or a XML request. The response will come back as a JSON or XML. Now, how this IRCTC.com is going to show that on the UI, it is up to them. You got a response. Response means some information. Okay, flight number, time, departure time, arrival time, cost. You get that as a XML or you get it as a JSON. JSON is a key value pair. It's a JavaScript object. So you get all of them, you parse all of them, then show it on the UI. UI is just to beautify the things. That's it. UI is just to beautify and show it in a proper manner to the user. Are you getting it? So UI is for the users and web services are basically for the systems. Right? So when I say web service, it can be SOAP, which was used earlier and it is still used, and the other web service is REST. Okay, so SOAP and REST are the technologies which are used by web services. Either it can be a SOAP web service or it can be a REST web service. Okay, SOAP web service takes the information in the form of XML. REST takes information in the form of predominantly in the form of JSON, or it can be XML, or it can be a text file. Anything. REST will take anything. Okay, REST is a very lightweight and very popular nowadays. Right now, just to give an example, let us say, yeah, let us open that some website. I'm opening what wcschools.com. Okay. Now let us. I'll show you something. See, download PDF free. Now what is this guy is doing now? He's showing you a link, right? If you click on this, he will have to fetch the exe file for you to download, right? So what is happening now? So these are all basically advertisements. Okay, you are talking to some third-party systems. So this communication mostly happens using REST in the backend. Okay, so REST is kind of platform neutral, right? So it just uses some JSON or XML, right? So let us see that you want to show something on your page. Maybe what is that? Yeah, this may be okay. Let me just show you that. So now on the irctc.com, did I enter correctly? Okay, so you may want to display something. You see here? By the way, the time we completed all this story, we have our editors got downloaded. Now see here, see, maybe you might see some ad here saying that convert, degree centigrade to degree Fahrenheit. You enter a degree centigrade to convert it to degree Fahrenheit, to give it to you. Now, that code which will convert the degree centigrade to degree Fahrenheit is not present on IRCTC. What it will do, it will take the degree centigrade as a parameter, value, key and value as a REST request and send it to some third-party web service. It will convert it, again give the REST response back. Then the UI they will show it to you, that's all. Okay. So REST is mostly used to communicate between the systems like that, right? So it is a huge concept. I cannot cover that over here. I just wanted to cover that so that you get some idea. You will not get confused. What is the role of a HTML here? So HTML is different, REST is different. HTML is just for the web pages. You can take the REST response and then convert it and show it in the HTML. Embed that inside HTML. You can show it in the UI. Whatever you want to show it in the UI, it has to come from HTML. But whatever should come to the UI, that can be either using XML or HTML or JSON or ASP, JSP, whatever it is. Is it clear? So the web page is what is using your HTML. You should know that, right? So you should know about the response codes as well, right? So just to show it to you, I will just try to show it to you. This is Chrome browser, right? You press F12. Okay, F12. F12 we have been doing it, right? F12 we have been using all these days. Oh, okay, we have not used for your batch, just started, right? So other batch we have used. So now go to this network tab here, network tab, right? Now just see here what I'm doing. If you just see here network tab, that means it is loading all this information. Okay, it is loading all this information. Let us wait. My intention is to not to teach you all this and make you confused, just to show it to you. See, I'm clicking on HTML basic. The moment I click on this, what happens? Just keep a watch. Okay, so where is the request and response? This they keep on changing it. Not this source. Source is network. network, and then we have to be on the some tab here. See, what is happening is the moment I click on say HTML styles, it will send that request to the server. What has happened here is, can you just see here, it has loaded this. Not only loaded this, there are so many other things which are getting loaded here. See, the page is refreshing and so many. Can you just see the status code here? 200, 300, right, etc., etc. So let us just take one 200 request here so that you understand that. My intention is to show you that response. Okay, so you can just see it like this. Can you just see here? The response came in the form of a XML here, right? So this is the response which came. Okay, what is this response? What it is loading? God only knows. So now, okay, so this is too much of information, I tell you. You should not be seeing that. There's a problem with these kind of applications. Usually in your application, you will not have this. See, some ad is coming. It's also getting loaded. The moment you click that request, went to the server, that server, instead of showing only the page that you wanted, it's loading so much of other pages. Some redirection happened, it went to some other page, other application and took something, you know, etc. etc. Anyways, so for now, our intention is to not to understand all this. W3.css. We clicked on CSS, right? So W3.css. Now see what has happened here. So we have something called as headers, request headers and response headers. I will talk about that during the REST course, not right now. Yeah. So 200. Can you see here? 200 means what? Okay, successful. So you can see the response here. Yeah, you can see the response here, and you can see the body here. What is the body of the response, right? So this is the body of the response. So can you just see here all of this getting loaded? So this will be either in the form of a plain text, JSON or XML. That depends. That depends on the technology that those guys have chosen. How much time it took, what are the headers, what is the method, get method. It means you're trying to fetch, right? Post means you're trying to insert something, right? You're creating a new user, that means it will be post request. I hope you know about that. So you should at least know about what get, post, put, delete. And you should know about status codes. Whether it is HTTP, whether it is UI or API, you should know about this. This is mandatory. Okay. So you should know about this, right? So this is how you see the request and response. You can see the request URL. This is the URL that you wanted, and the request method is get, and the response is 200. That means it was successful. What was the response? This is the response you got. Okay. If you understand this much, understanding any technology, whether it's related to your UI or it's related to web services, it will be easy. You should know about HTML, HTTP status codes, HTTP methods, request, response, headers. That's it. Spend some time. Down the line, if time permits, I will take one session on that, as we have already discussed. Okay. So anyway, so we talked so many things today about the load balancer, high availability, spinning up extra instances so that to support the load, right? When the load is more, you backend the cloud should spin up new instances so that it can balance that load, right? High availability, cloud. Cloud means what? Cloud means, is it, cloud means not the real cloud, okay? So, see, earlier days, what used to happen, you know, let us say I want to open a company. Maybe I want to, you know, we are in this teaching profession. Maybe I want to write one website and upload all the videos so that people can come and visit my website and buy some of the videos and watch some of the videos for free. And if they want to watch more and more videos, maybe they have to pay some money, something like that, right? They can register themselves, etc. So what we used to do earlier was, for doing that, I have to buy one server infrastructure. I will buy one hardware basically, right? That is called as a hardware. So hardware is what? Hardware is what? This is called as bare metal. It is a metal. It's a server, physical server, right? Maybe a laptop. It's a very small configuration server, right? So otherwise you will have to buy some high-end server which have too much of RAM and good hard disks so that they can sustain a lot of load, right? So from where do you buy the servers? You go and talk to Oracle and say, boss, I need one server, WebLogic server. WebLogic is a server which is used for deploying web-based applications. You say, boss, I need a server. I'm expecting maybe around 500 users to use my application. So can you give me a high-end server? You talk to Oracle. Oracle will ship you that server box, physical box, right? You put it there on your machine. On your infrastructure, you have a physical place and all for that. Keep it there. You connect it to the network so that all the incoming requests across the globe will come and hit that server. And you should be in the internet, right? And along inside your infrastructure, that server needs to talk to some other database server and all. They should be connected to each other, right? So you buy your WebLogic server and then you buy one Oracle database server, Oracle DB, right? So that's how Oracle make money, right? So you ask them WebLogic, they will also give you database, yeah. So then they say that you can use this WebLogic, you can deploy your application, and it is a very powerful WebLogic is a very powerful enterprise level server. Okay, so it is a commercial enterprise. If you want to go for open source, you can go for Tomcat. There are a lot of web servers available nowadays. Nginx, Jetty, Tomcat, right? Glassfish. There are a lot of web servers. Web service means you write the code and put it in the server, and if any request comes to that, it will serve a page back to you. And that's what is a web server. Server means it is serving, just like a server in your hotel. It is serving you, right? Just like that. So you bought WebLogic, and then you install it. You set up a network and all. Then you put that physical server there, and then there is a database server. Both of them are talking to each other, and then you have to manage your infrastructure, right? You have to manage all your infrastructure yourself, right? You have to have some IT guys for that. They will ensure that it's not going down. If it goes down, immediately they have to reboot it, start it, whatever it is. So you have a team for managing that, right? Instead of doing all this, now imagine you have bought a server assuming that there is a request of 500 users coming to hit your application. Now, what if you have only around 20 or 30 requests coming in, not that popular? We opened a website thinking that a lot of people will learn Java, Selenium. Suddenly people started moving to Python and nobody is visiting our website. Might happen. So in that case, whatever infrastructure that you are set up to run that infrastructure, you are spending a lot of money, right? So you have to maintain it. High availability is required. People are there, networking people, hardware people to maintain all that. That is an investment, right? A huge investment. Huge investment, believe me. Especially the enterprise applications, banking applications and all. Huge investment. So now, to avoid that, okay, when there is no much load, what is happening? Still your server is running, which is a very high capacity, but you're underutilizing that capacity. Correct, right? So then this guy thought, the CEO of Amazon, who is that? You know his name? Yeah? Jeff. So Jeff thought, why not we set up our infrastructure and then anybody they want. So we will have some 20 servers. We will keep in some location. Maybe one data center in US, one in India, one in Australia. If anybody wants to deploy their applications, they can come and deploy in our data center. We already have a server. They can just come and deploy. And then we will ensure that we will take care of what? Entire infrastructure. You don't have to absolutely worry. You don't have to absolutely worry about the infrastructure. You just take your code, you develop the application, you give the code to us, we will deploy it, or you deploy it, we will give you a server, you deploy it, and that's it. Rest all we will take. That is what cloud is. Cloud means basically the infrastructure which is outsourced to someone else. That is where AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, Oracle Cloud, IBM. Every company is starting cloud. Why? Because why they're starting? Oracle was earlier selling WebLogic servers for some customers who were managing their own infrastructure. Now, nobody is buying WebLogic. They say, why do I need to buy and set up my infrastructure? AWS is there, Google Cloud is there. I will just go and deploy there. In 1 minute, you can start a company. I'm telling you, just in 10 minutes, maybe you can start a new company. Just register a domain, go to GoDaddy or some domain registers. You just say, I want to start patil.com. Just say, I want to start patil.com. They will just verify whether this person really exists or not. My phone number, my credit card, and all that. They will give me a domain, patil.com. That's it. And then I go to Amazon and say, boss, I have patil.com domain. So I want to deploy this application. So can you give me an infrastructure? Say, yes, take it. You're happy to serve. They will give you a server. Then you put your code there. And then that server has IP address. And that instead of that IP address, you call it as patil.com. You already got a domain for you. That's it. You have to have the code ready, that's all. So if you have your code ready, starting a business is just a matter of 10 minutes nowadays because everything is cloud and you have everything readily available. Tip of a second, just click, you will get a new server, VM, basically, where you can deploy your application. Anyways, so yeah, so what I was talking is basically the infrastructure goes to Amazon. Okay, so they will manage all that headache. You don't buy WebLogic. Whatever servers they buy, it is up to them. They might still use WebLogic or they might use some other server. Now, who will use the server which is manufactured by Oracle? Who will use servers which are manufactured by IBM? Microsoft, SQL Server. Microsoft has IIS. They have their own web service. They have their database service. Right now, who will use all that? Who will buy Oracle's WebLogic server? No, everybody is going to cloud. Then who will buy that? Are you getting it? So that is when companies started thinking, okay, our hardware will not be sold now because we are at risk, right? Everybody is going to cloud. What that Amazon buys, that is God only knows. But our servers are not getting sold. What we have to do? Let us start our own cloud company. Let people come and instead of buying our hardware directly, indirectly, we will provide them cloud infrastructure. They can use our cloud infrastructure and deploy their applications. So like that, a lot of cloud companies are started. The leader in the market, close to 70% of market share is Amazon, AWS, which because the only reason is it started earlier, it started initially. And then we have Microsoft, which is also very popular, 20-25%. Google Cloud is coming very aggressively. Then we have Oracle, IBM, and some other small cloud providers, which are not up to that mark. Okay, so yeah. That's what is cloud is all about. So cloud means basically infrastructure, you are giving it as a service to the users. It is called as IaaS, IaaS. These are the cloud terms. Now don't ask me why I'm teaching all this. Yeah, I sometimes teach some of the topics which are irrelevant but very useful, believe me. Right? IaaS means infrastructure as a service. Okay, by the way, anybody is working on the cloud? People on the Zoom, let me just talk to them. They've been not answered for the past half an hour now. They're sleeping. So, yeah, anybody working on the cloud side, deploying on AWS, managing that? Sukrita?
No, sir. I'm about to complete one project. The next project would be Google Cloud. That's what they were telling, but not sure.
Okay, good. Good. Sangeeta, how about you?
No, sir. In future also, I don't think so. If I'm placed in the same company,
Okay.
maybe
Sneha?
I'll have to move out.
Sneha, any exposure to cloud side?
No, sir. No.
So at least you got some big picture now. What is cloud means? Taslim?
Yeah.
Cloud means something hidden from you. You don't have to. It's abstract to you. You don't have to worry. They will take care. That is why this cloud means far away, just like in the cloud. That is why the term cloud has come. Cloud means not in the sky. Okay. Web services. AWS. Right? AWS is Amazon Web Service. That is where there is their cloud infrastructure. So wherein, if you want to deploy your applications, you can just go to AWS. There's infrastructure. You go there, you tell your requirement. I want 20 GB machine, right? I want a server which is of 20 GB RAM or 50 GB RAM, whatever it is. I want 2 instances, 3 instances, because the load might increase, right? You choose all of that, select, enter. Tip of a minute, next moment, they will give you a server back. They will give you the access to it. They will give you the IP address of that. You just go there, SSH to it, connect to it, go and deploy your application. Next moment, it is available live. Live means anybody can access it. Okay. Did you get the big picture now? Got it, Prasanna?
Sir?
So, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
My husband has a question now. He was just listening all the class. So he has a question. Let me pass it to him. I think you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Hello, sir. This is Madhu. I'm Sneha's husband.
Oh, okay, yeah, Madhu, tell me.
I really liked the way you explain different things. Is very, very effective. I also listen when she's listening to you.
Okay.
So the cloud, the cloud topic that you are explaining today is quite interesting, and I wanted to ask you a few things. So as you are from Oracle, and Oracle is now as a major, I think, provider in cloud.
Right.
So our company is trying to get into cloud,
Okay.
but I wanted to know how, in terms of the databases, you maintain the concurrency of the data. Like in cloud, like you will maintain the instance of the database on so many different places, right?
Yes.
So I just wanted to know how, is there any?
See, Oracle database. Maybe I will just share the overview because I'm not supposed to share the internal.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
So, no problem. So what I'll tell you is Oracle database is, if you want to deploy on Oracle database physically, you know how much time it takes? A lot of time, maybe close to 1 hour. You have to basically install the software and set up the schema and then create the root user, etc., etc. But if you go with Oracle Cloud, the moment you say, give me a database server with this much of capacity, next minute you will have a database server up and running, right? And if you want to have them across the geographical locations, you can choose which and all regions you want, right? And the concurrency is maintained 100%. It is very fast and accurate because Oracle uses a concept called as bare metal, where the hardware is pure bare metal. It is not a virtualization of VMs. So we use basically the physical hardware where the database is deployed directly. So there is no virtualization. There's no one extra layer in the middle. Other providers like AWS and Microsoft and all, they use their hypervisor in the middle. So Oracle doesn't use that. That's why it is very fast, very accurate, and you will get 100% concurrency. So
okay, that's good to know.
Yes, and the database is there in the cloud. Oracle, as you all know, is a leader on the database side. So only thing is cost-wise, it is little expensive, not little, too much expensive. Yeah, so if you go for maybe Cassandra or MongoDB, which are open source, you will get it free of cost. But whereas Oracle is expensive, but highly secured, very, very much fast.
Yeah, so we use only Oracle. We feel that it's quite expensive.
Wonderful. Yeah, happy to hear that. And some enterprise applications like banks, like where security is the concern, right? So they will really do not want to go with any of the open source database. They will still stick to either Oracle or SQL Server, like some enterprise level databases. Banks, big banks. Otherwise,
sure,
you are okay, then you can shift to open source databases also. So I am part of the Oracle Cloud team, QA team basically. That's where I got to know all these things apart from the regular automation. So if you need any further information, Mukesh, I would be happy to share maybe offline, or if you want to get into some sales people, I can guide them as well. I can
Oh,
guide
okay, that's
you
good.
as
That's
well.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So if
feel
there is
free
any
to
further question, can I come and talk to you offline?
Pardon?
So if there is any other questions on Oracle Cloud, can I come and talk to you offline?
Yes, please. Again, as I said, I will be only able to give the information that I know because I'm a QA.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm a QA lead. I'm just trying to manage the testing activities there. But if you want to
Oh,
really
okay.
get to know the things from the sales point of view or from other point of view, then
Oh,
I can guide you to appropriate people.
okay. Thanks. Thank you, sir. I'll give it back to
No
Sid.
problem. I'm happy to know that you also got to know a lot of things. Yes, feel free in case if you need to learn or get to know a few more things. Nice
Sure,
talking
sure.
to you, Mahesh. Yeah.
Same here. Same here.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So, all right. So where were we? Yeah. So coming back now. So leaving all this, so cloud, why it is becoming popular is because of that, right? So you just don't have the headache of maintaining infrastructure. Otherwise, banks and all, they used to have their own infrastructure. Imagine a bank like Citibank and all, they have to have their own infrastructure. And sometimes maybe a natural disaster, could be earthquake, could be fire, rain, flood, infrastructure may go down, right? Amazon is not like that, meaning they can also go down, but they maintain the same instances across the globe. If there is one data center here in Bombay, there is one data center in Australia, there's one data center in New York, there's another one in Russia. So what they do, every time whatever you use here, that is getting replicated there. That means that is called as what? That is called as DA or DR, disaster recovery management. Meaning, so if something goes down to this infrastructure, so there same application, same data, everything is there. You will not lose any of your information, any of your instances. That's why people are happy to buy. And that too, the cost very, very economical. The cost, imagine if you're buying your server and you're managing yourself. Whatever cost is there for the server, you have to pay that. And all the resources you have to pay them, salary and all that, infrastructure, electricity, air condition, all of that you have to maintain. Here, you don't have to do anything. If you use a server which is of 20 GB RAM, and if you use it for 1 hour, they will have the price code. They will say, if your application is running for 1 hour, and if it is consuming this much of RAM resources, then per hour you have to pay $2, $3, $4, whatever is the amount that AWS has fixed, whatever is the amount that Oracle has fixed. That's it. So it is very, very economical. And it is like if you're using, you're paying. If you're not using, you're not paying. Imagine you don't hit nobody's hitting your application request. So you have to pay very, very minimal cost, right, to maintain that. Otherwise, more resources, more cost. It is like that. It is like it is not a fixed cost or fixed bill that you have to pay to the AWS. It is based on the usage that you have to pay. More and more resources, more and more instances, your business is growing, a lot of requests coming in, maybe your bill will be little more. If it's not that much, if you are not consuming that much of resources of Amazon, then they will pay you, they will send you a bill which is very less, right? Pay as you go. That means how much you use, you pay that much. It is like a postpaid connection. Yeah. So that is why the cloud business has become so popular. Okay, so people are losing their hardware business. All the big giants, IBM, Oracle, Microsoft, they're all stopping their hardware businesses. And they have to go into cloud, right? And everybody is going into cloud. Everybody is going into cloud. Why? Because no headache, right? But some companies, banks, and maybe defense, federal government of US, maybe some of the intelligence agencies and all raw and these kind of. So the NASA and also they want to maintain the secret. So they don't want to reveal their data and all there in the cloud. Correct, right? So they don't want to deploy their sensitive information. See, cloud is secure. It's not that your data can be seen by someone else. No, it is highly secure. There are networks, private networks down the line. So you are isolated from other users. Okay. But only thing is they still want to be secure. They don't want to even disclose their information to Amazon also. Amazon also have a lot of regulations. It's not that anybody can go into the box and see the information. No. So only people who have appropriate authentication can access the service. So in that case, what people have done, these cloud providers, they are also smart. What they say, boss, if you are really secure, if your information application is really secure, then what you do, you don't come to the public cloud. Whatever AWS that we're talking is a public cloud where anybody can go and deploy. What we will do, we will come and give a small cloud, a set of machines, infrastructure, and deploy it wherever you want. Right? That will become a private cloud. So what is a private cloud? Private cloud is as good as having their own infrastructure, right? But that is managed by AWS or Oracle or any cloud provider. So it is like instead of you using their public services, you are using their private services. So they will give you a small rack which has all the servers, cables, connecting network and all. They will come and keep that in your machine, in your infrastructure, in your area, at your premises. And your code, your application, all of that resides within your premises. But still, you will use the same thing, you will use that infrastructure as if you're using it in Amazon cloud, but that will be a private cloud, only accessible to your infrastructure. That's a public cloud. There's a private cloud, sorry. Private cloud and public cloud. So now nowadays there's a trend called as hybrid cloud. So what is happening? What customers want? They want all the database to be at their premise, private. Applications, web applications and all, they can run on AWS. That's okay because data is sensitive for them. They don't want to disclose the data. So some instances running on their side, some instances running on the public UI and all. That is what it is. See, you hit www.saycitibank.com. There's a web page which is getting displayed, right? And then you enter your username, password, click show my balance. Then the response comes now where the application is running there, but the data, it will talk to the database which is there on your private cloud. Comes and takes the data again, goes back and displays back the information to the user. So a mixture of private and public cloud is called as a hybrid cloud. Okay, that is also getting very popular. Okay, but all the small companies, businesses, games, small web applications, shadi.com, naukri.com, W3 schools, they are all public cloud. You can open your company if you just have 5,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees. GoDaddy will take to give you a domain. Amazon will take maybe another 1,000 or 2,000. That's all you can open a website instantly. Next minute you will get it. Yeah, if you want, do that. Okay. But anyway, so now why all these things have come is because of HTML, all these things started, right? So there's so much of far we went, right? So from HTML, yeah, we talked about HTTP codes, we talked about REST, we talked about cloud infrastructure, public cloud, private cloud, high availability, load balancing, web server, database server, right? Running across different instances, right? So all of that. Yeah. So the story goes on. IaaS means what? Infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service. So Amazon is very, very popular in that. Then there is something called as PaaS. This is the next cloud, flavor. This is called as platform as a service. Any idea what is this platform as a service? For example, if you use IaaS, if you go to AWS and say, boss, I need a server, they will give you what? WebLogic or Tomcat or whatever server they are providing. So they will give that to you and they will give you the access to that VM, that box. You can SSH, means you can use SSH to that box and go there and deploy that, right? So you will not have access to any UI, nothing is there. It is all black command line, right? You go there, SSH, deploy, start. It's all Linux servers that you get access. When you say PaaS, what they do is they have a small software. Instead of accessing the infrastructure directly, what you will use is they have a small software running in their data center. Now you say, boss, can you give me a WebLogic server? I don't want to access it from the backend. I want to use it from the UI, so that I can use the UI and then go there and deploy my service, right? WebLogic console, have you seen it any time? Any Tomcat console or WebLogic console? How to deploy the applications? If you're not, I will show you that. You should know that, right? So that is a demand, of the market. We can't help. So just install a Tomcat locally and just download any sample web application and deploy it to the Tomcat server locally. You can do that. It's very simple. I can show you that. So what they are doing is they are providing a small application which is running in their data center. You say, boss, I want to deploy my .NET application. Can you give me the relevant backend? I don't want to see the backend, whatever you use. Just give me the access to the UI. I will use the UI and then go there and browse my application and upload it. So that is what is a platform as a service. You don't get access to the backend machines directly. You get access to their platform layer, and from their platform layer, internally that is talking to the infrastructure which is down the line. Okay, that is what is PaaS, platform as a service. So you need some services, you just access them, and then from there you deploy or whatever you do, right? A lot of companies, cloud providers are doing well here also. But most of the cloud is IaaS, meaning customers, they have their IT guys and all. They know how to talk to, configure, how to deploy, how to troubleshoot, right? So they will say, you give me a server in the cloud, we will manage. That's what is IaaS is. Otherwise, you deploy, you configure everything, give us the platform. You just give a front end, we will use it. That is platform as a service. Are you getting it? Difference is clear? The third flavor is SaaS, SaaS. What is this SaaS? This is software as a service. What is this software as a service? Any idea? Have you heard of a company called as Salesforce, SAP, SAP, Workday, or ERP? Some ERP applications. Now what they're doing, they have their applications. Let us say I develop a small software. What I will do, I will deploy it in Amazon Cloud. Okay, so my software is a banking software, or it's a ERP software. ERP means used by manufacturing industries, right? Enterprise resource planning. Or maybe I have a small healthcare application which can be used by various doctors, like Practo, you might have seen, right? So applications are there. You have your application, so you have everything related to that, and you deploy it in the cloud. Instead of deploying it on your machine, you deploy it on the cloud. Anybody wants to use it, you create an account for them and they will use it. And the data, everything, you are managing it. You are only giving the application to them. It is not their application, it is your application. It is your product, right? So you are putting them in the cloud and then giving the access to anybody. SAP, what is SAP? Basically, it is an ERP which is used by various manufacturing companies, right? So they talk to the SAP or Salesforce, for example, and then they go there, use that software. They have an account and they log in and they create production, their sales, marketing, everything they can manage. Likewise, another customer is there. He can also use the same application, but they are isolated. They can't see your data, you can't see their data. It's all there in the deep, right? So SAP, ERP, these kind of Workday, Salesforce, which is a huge, LinkedIn, for example, you can even assume that as a SaaS application. It is deployed somewhere, people are accessing it, everybody is accessing it. All the applications which are deployed on the cloud, applications deployed on the cloud. It is not your application. See, if you take a VM, deploy your application there, that becomes IaaS, infrastructure as a service. If you tell them, boss, you give us some kind of platform, I don't want to access the backend, I will deploy my application, that is PaaS. You don't want to develop the application also. Somebody has already developed it, somebody has already deployed, you just want to use it as an application. Software as an application, you want to use it. Then it is SaaS. Is it clear? So that's what it is. Most of the applications are SaaS nowadays. nowadays. So a lot of business on the cloud, I would say close to 60% is happening on IaaS still. And around how much percent, you have any idea? 15%, not more than that, even less than. Rest all is SaaS. SaaS is also growing. Okay? So your banking applications, ERP, healthcare, any applications you develop, put it in the cloud, anybody can access. Based on the usage, they will have to pay to you. And you will pay to the cloud provider based on the usages again. So it is your application. So for example, if I want to run any business, I can develop an application. I don't even have to develop an application. I want to manage, okay, for example, I want to manage all your student information and all, right? So your number, phone number, email ID and all, so that I can get in touch with you. So for that, I can use software which is already available in the cloud called as Workday. I can use it. I'll talk to Workday people. I'll say, boss, I will use your application. Based on my users, I will pay to you. Right? So users will pay to you, and then you will pay to the cloud provider. So you are just not doing anything and still making money. Only thing is you have to have the business. Right? They will give the application, you run the business. It's like that. Is it clear? Is the difference clear? Okay, I think we have spent a lot of time, believe me. So more than 1 hour, 12:30 is when we started. So this is just to give you an overview. You should know IaaS, SaaS, and PaaS. High availability, load balancing, multiple instances, scale. We use the term scale out, meaning one instance is there, too many requests came in, they spin one other instance, right? That's called a scale out. You're scaling out, but depending on the request, it's scaling out. It is elastic in nature. And the requests come down. See, during Tatkal time, they will spin 3-4 extra instances to manage that load. Tatkal time is over. All the instances that were spinned will be released. Only one instance back now. It's elastic in nature. You pay according to the usage. Managing that scaling up, scaling down, right? Adding more instances, removing the instances, that your AWS will take care. A cloud provider will take care. I should not say AWS, it could be Microsoft, Google, Oracle, IBM, any cloud provider. Okay. So that is what it is. Nowadays, the industry is entering into the cloud side. I'm telling you openly. So you need, it is not a traditional kind of, still it is, transition is happening, but mostly the trend is all towards cloud. So you should know how to deploy an application, at least in a small Tomcat or WebLogic server locally. And you should know how to talk to the AWS cloud. AWS cloud, when you talk means you will have some credentials, you log in, that's it. You will be able to type. It has a PaaS layer, platform as a service. You can talk to that and then you can get whatever you want to deploy. Okay. So I am not asking you to take a course or certification in AWS or not, but at least you should know this information, which will be very handy for you down the line. If you're in IT, you should know this. You're expected to know. If you say, no, somebody will deploy, somebody will manage it, I will only do testing, manual testing, I will enter this test case, execute this test case, write pass, fail, those days have gone. Okay, those days have absolutely gone. If not, they will go down very soon. You need to learn automation. You need to learn. There is a technology nowadays coming called as DevOps. What is this DevOps? Any idea? Initially, development. See, development means people used to develop their application, develop the application. And once the WAR file is ready, then there was operations. Means IT people. They used to take care of deployment, etc. Right? And then in the middle, there was a testing team. They used to test and then certify. Then it used to be managed by the operations team, right? So nowadays, as an IT professional, you are expected to know end-to-end. Bit of development, maybe not possible. You cannot become a developer overnight. For that, you need to know the technology, right? But at least you know core Java now very well. That is sufficient. Testing, manual testing, automation testing. Automation is must. That's why learning is ready. And then operations like deployment, analyzing, troubleshooting, getting to the server and then analyzing the logs. It's a little bit of back-end knowledge, Linux commands, bit of shell scripting. You should know that. If you know, it's an added advantage. If you only know testing, and again in that testing, if I have to tell you, there is manual testing and automation testing. Okay. So if you know manual testing, scope will come down. If you know manual plus automation, it will increase. If you know DevOps end-to-end, you will be really, nowadays people want, the industry doesn't want only a developer or a QA like that. They want a DevOps kind of professional who can manage end-to-end. Can do development also, he can do testing also, he can do operations also. That is the expectation of the industry, right? To what extent we can reach there, it is up to us, right? How fast we can learn. But it is okay, don't get afraid. But at least if you know manual testing and automation testing as a QA, plus little bit on the DevOps side, maybe you need not have to learn development technologies, Java, JSPs, or other technologies. But at least if you know a little bit on troubleshooting, deployment, that will really help you. Okay, so the industry is inclined towards DevOps. Yeah. So only I will use UI and then do the testing, black box testing. That's not going to help for a long run. Okay. Testing itself is kind of, everything is automated. Everything is automated. Now, why do people are saying, why do you even need testing for that matter? To automate it and it will take care anyways, right? Why do you need people to test it? Yeah. So, but automation cannot 100% replace the entire manual testing. But still, a lot of areas are getting automated, and that is why test engineers are losing the jobs, right? So if you know automation, if you know DevOps a little bit, then you will be having upper hand. If you only know manual testing, sooner or later, that's the end of your IT career. Yeah, I can tell you openly. Okay. Anyway, so I think too much of theory we discussed. We actually wanted to start with HTML, but somehow it went here and there. And intentionally, I wanted to cover these topics, yeah, as a bonus, right? So you got all this. Some of the people who have not attended has really missed it. Maybe they will have to watch the video and manage. Yeah. So I'll stop here. Tomorrow when we meet, we will continue with the HTML and then rest of the 3-4 core Java topics which are pending, and we'll start with the Selenium. Okay. So once Selenium starts from tomorrow, leaving tomorrow, max to max, 4 weekends we will keep it tentatively, or 5 weekends max. Leaving tomorrow, okay. We will try to close your batch. By end of June, the target is to close your batch. Okay. When was the batch started, by the way? April 6th is April 10th. We are already in June, is it? Okay. April 10th it started. Sure. 6th, Saturday, yeah, Saturday, right? Yes, it should be. Okay, maybe this was a kind of a demo and all, if I'm not wrong. Maybe then 13th it would have started. It's a weekend batch, right? 6th was a demo class. Sukrita, do you remember? Sangeeta, do you remember? You came for the first class.
Yes, 20th of March.
Is it?
Yes.
So we are teaching too much then. Yeah. So 6th, okay, that 6th is when it started, let us assume. So 6th of April to 6th of May, 1 month is over. Yeah, and 6th of May to 6th of June has not come yet, right? So 2 months are over. Yeah. So in 6th of June to 6th of July, 3 months will be over. So 3 months is what we need to complete a weekend batch then. I will update Subhash and accordingly, because it's not getting over. Meaning the topics are so much that we cannot cover in 2 months. Yeah, and we missed some of the classes also. Did we miss any classes? No, right? Covered, but maybe some issues here and there. But anyways, 3 months is what you are spending altogether, including the weekends. Overall duration. That's okay. To learn a technology from the scratch to the core, Java and Selenium, automation framework and all, 3 months is that too on the weekends, right? You're not. If it is weekdays, we could have covered it, maybe within 2 months like that. Every day, 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours like that. But this is because a weekend batch usually stretches a little bit. Yeah, that's okay, part of the business. So, but as I said, don't worry too much about the duration, timings, examples. You focus on learning. Rest all, the cloud provider will take care, right? It is like that. You just focus on learning. from your end. Okay. All right. So people on the Zoom, Sangeeta. Yeah. So there was too much of theory today again. Do you have any questions before I stop for today's class?